Hi, this is Ebony. I'm coming to you as an organizer, how I normally would come to your door. I look fresh-faced, I had some coffee, I watched some good TV, and then I roll up to your yard and I'm knocking and I'm saying, don't vote 2020. And I'm telling you why I'm not voting. And then you can like it and by liking this post and subscribing, or you can tell me why you're going to vote, and please on the comment. So I voted in the 2020 presidential primary, and I voted in the 2016 presidential primary for candidates that did not make it through to the general. And I wanted to talk about why I didn't vote in 2016, and it's a little bit different than why I'm not voting in 2020. So in 2016, I didn't vote because I unexpectedly moved to New York City from Texas, and it would have been really difficult for me to vote because it wasn't a planned move. And so I just did, and I didn't think the candidates were worth my vote to begin with, so I wasn't going to put through any extra effort to get to that point. So at first, initially, I wanted to do this video to apologize for Donald Trump's white supremacy tweet.
Where's your white voice?
As if not voting put him into office, but then I analyzed what would have been my decision-making process at that time. So for Hillary Clinton, she earned her status through nepotism, and Donald Trump also earned his status through nepotism. Hillary Clinton called children super predators.
Kids anymore.
Donald Trump.
They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president
Donald Trump worked to vilify a bunch of teenagers who were innocent of a horrific crime by putting out some newspaper clip and before the evidence was even revealed. So he is a part of like this vilifying, especially black children, to the media, just as much as Hillary Clinton was when she would call children super predators. 3, Hillary Clinton worked to help shame Monica Lewinsky, a victim of sexual assault. When I was a child and the whole Hillary Clinton or Monica Lewinsky thing came out, I viewed Monica Lewinsky as this hussy who deserved everything that she got, trying to break up a marriage. And part of that was because I didn't have a strong female leader, as Hillary Clinton should have been, to stand up for Monica, this unpaid intern. And it wasn't until I became an adult and became somewhat more aware of feminism that I realized that I was a part of this process that made this woman feel ashamed and embarrassed for being objectified by this older male figure. So I believe a feminist should stand up for other women regardless of the man she's married to. And she could have stayed married to Bill, but still work to help use her light to help this other young woman. Anyway, and then obviously Donald Trump is worse. He spoke about women inappropriately and was accused of sexual assault multiple times. So all of these 3 values are really more character traits. I expect a person in office to have a certain type of character. One, to work hard to get to where they are, and that's, I feel like, an American ethos that I most admire about this country as a child of an immigrant. 2, to care for children, to show respect for all children regardless of their racial background and their class status. And 3, be a feminist. Whether you're a male or a woman, we should all be feminists, and we should all support women, because that supports equality and justice and all those things that I believe in. So at the end of this mental process that I just walked you through, I'm not sure I was entirely wrong to vote. And I'm even going to step it a bit further. And I don't think criminal justice reform would have passed under Hillary Clinton. And I am almost positive that the Black Lives Matter movement wouldn't have the traction that it is having today without someone as horrible as Donald Trump. I feel like Hillary Clinton is one of those people who says things that make people feel okay, even if her actions are diametrically opposed to her words. And whereas Donald Trump, he says things that make your heart race, make you feel like you have to stand up and do something. And then you actually go out and do something and change the world. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people standing up and doing something where we wouldn't see with someone with Hillary Clinton's class and eloquence. We would just sweep things under the rug like we've always had. So in a way, I do believe we have the right president, a president who is so despicable and incompetent that it opened many of us to a complicated discussion about our country's legacy and current pathway. I also believe that initially when I did this video, I thought that he didn't have a clear political view, and that allowed some great bills to become into law, including the First Step Act, the Right to Try, and the Opportunity Zones Act that was within the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. Initially, I thought that these bills were acts were just a fluke, and his lack of political sophistication led to other actors being able to get their innovative legislation through. As I evaluated the First Step Act, I realized that it didn't have as much teeth as Trump has been harping on. It is a good, and the First Step Act is called the First Step Act for a reason. It's the first step. It's supposed to have a second and a third step towards true reform. Yes, it did make some, previously Biden was a part of this movement that made crack have a higher sentence than cocaine, and crack was seen as a poor person's drug of choice, and person of color's drug of choice, and cocaine was for people who were wealthier and typically white. So it caused a sentencing disparity. And this bill does adjust for the sentencing disparity, but not enough. It doesn't do enough for getting people out of prison. It doesn't do a lot of things. And so it is a good first step, but it needs a second step. And Donald Trump's rhetoric and actions make me believe that he is not the president to do the second step. But I'm happy that the first step was made. And in comparison, Biden's long history of putting into bills that made it necessary to have the first step made me think that Biden is not the right person to do the second step either.
The Democratic mantra, the response was law and order with justice, whatever that meant. And I'd say lock the SOBs up. Republicans are finding out it's no longer legitimate to say that Democrats are soft on crime. Because guess what? What has every major crime bill that's gotten this far been? A Democratic crime bill. A Democratic crime bill. That's the secret. A Democratic crime bill. A Democratic president wants 100,000 cops.
Although, if you read his policy position on his website, it is a great policy position. Have I heard him say something or have actions that show that this is a priority to him? No. Will he be going around championing, I'm going to do criminal justice reform, such as when Donald Trump went around championing the wall, which has never been built. Is this a campaign issue, or is this a real issue that's going to be advanced? And I feel like this is, I feel, I have not seen any evidence that this is going to be an issue that he will push for in advance. For the Right to Try Act, I'm not sure if many of you know about this act. Everyone I talk to about this act loves the idea of it. And it is a lovely idea that everyone should have the right to try a prescription medication if they're going, the idea behind the act is you have the right to try something if you are in imminent danger of dying. The FDA will not stop you from trying a new drug, but there are many downfalls of this act, and it sort of seems like the right for rich people to try, because these drug companies are not, if they wanted you in the trial, you would have been in the trial. And these drug companies are not going to willingly give you access to this trial for no compensation, and they're not allowed to have compensation. So for the most part, it's a wonderful idea, but it's not, in theory, there should be more. And the other idea is the price transparency executive order, which is also a lovely idea, but without transparency in outcomes, it's nothing. And it has no impact. And then also there's no fines there's not a significant fine associated with the price transparency bill, so it's also nothing. And then in terms of, so not only has he repealed Obamacare, but he has not pushed for significant free market legislation, which I would agree with, that I would support, is they work together to make a free market legislation to make, to try to tackle the complicated healthcare system in America. That would have been great, but it was just a lazy attempt to say they've done something in healthcare. But I'm definitely for free market solutions, and I don't think Obamacare was a solution. And so I don't think that Biden has anything to run on either. But I would say that, you could have worked to fix Obamacare, and I would think that Biden would do that, but at the same time, he hasn't been out there championing for healthcare either. So I'm not sure he's the right man for changing Obamacare or making it better either. And third, the opportunity zones legislation is pretty good. But we don't know what's going to be happening until the next couple of years. So we have been seeing some advances, and that is a good thing. And I'm interested to see what's more is going to happen. So if I were going to analyze the two major candidates currently running, Biden versus DJT, and the same qualifications that I did prior, I would say that Biden earned his status through some degree of self-determination. He did honestly work hard to get where he was. But Biden did work actively to create this whole criminal justice system mess that we currently have. And so that's his responsibility. And I didn't think that he showed any remorse. There's no signs of, other than his campaign messaging, there's no signs that he's really going to actively do more than words. And he was also accused of sexual violence multiple times and was shown on camera with seriously inappropriate behavior. So those are the reasons I'm likely not voting in 2020. If both Biden and Trump adjust their running mates, maybe I would come up with another video on why I'm voting, but likely not. I don't think I think your running mate says something about your values, but I don't think, or what you perceive the country's values are, but I don't think your running mate will actually, generally speaking, will actually have any say in what you're doing. So I'm just going to spoil my ballot, go to the polls, write down Black Lives Matter, and call it a day for president. And if you think that my logic is reasonable, just comment Black Lives Matter and like it. And if you don't, tell me everything and I will respond and we'll have a lively discussion. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I wasn't wedded to the notion. Every time Richard Nixon, when I was running in 1972, would say law and order, the Democratic mantra, the response was law and order with justice.